so it's here. It's like this very beautiful book. It's in Spanish and Catalan up until now, and probably it will be translated in English. Okay. And I gave a word to Marta Mas and Ramon Bastida, the coordinators of the book, so that they could present it and explain a little bit the contents of it and why it is interesting to have it on hand, especially if you're studying or you're interested in social enterprises.
Okay, thank you very much, Nina. Can you hear me good? Yes, perfect. I'm going to present this book, this nice book that Nina said, that it's coordinated with Ramon Bastida from UPF Barcelona School of Management and myself. And this book borns after a conversation, a proposal for ARACOP program. This program is launched by the Generalitat de Catalunya, el Departament de Treball, Afers Socials i Famílies, in order to foster all the training in social entrepreneurship and the social economy and cooperatives. In this program, we propose this subject, this interesting subject called social entrepreneurship and impact investment. That is an optional subject, and I think that offers you a very interesting insight in this new way of business models, focus more on social focus. And also in this framework, in this program, we propose to write a book in collaboration with many practitioners and many scholars among different universities here in Catalonia to enrich this training process. Also for this year, we are working in some webinars with interview with social companies, with experts in this field. So why this book? The rationale of offer, and with Ramon we begin to work to this book, was to offer a book for a useful tool for lecturers. That this book offers conceptual main concepts, the main theoretical points in this social company, social entrepreneurship, and this social economy. But after, before this book, we have participated in two of them, the red and the green ones, that are focused in case study. The previous one is coordinated by Universitat Internacional de Catalunya, and the other one by Teresa Monjau from UPF also. And this previous book was mainly was in practical way with case study and the resolutions. But this is the handbook that offered this theoretical point of view with exercise, with case study, and with all the solutions that gives this important tool for students, for you. So I think that it's all from my part. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to present this book. All the information, all this book is available in the website of ARACOP and also in the website of our university. And we are very happy to, for you, it's a very useful tool. And thank you very much for all the academics and experts that today are going also to participate to show all these concepts. Thank you very much, and Ramon.
Okay, thank you, Marta. Well, just a few words to explain you a little bit the content of the book. It is, I mean, as Marta said, the objective of this book was to put all the experience from previous courses that we already done in Universitat Internacional de Catalunya about social entrepreneurship in a book. We thought that we could compile all this information in one book, which combines, as Marta said, both theoretical concepts and also exercises, case studies, everything with solutions. So it's quite easy to use. So another thing that Marta said that I think that it's important that it is a collaboration between different universities and management schools, which is something that enriches the book because I think that everybody has their own specialities, let's say expertises, and this is also good for the quality of the book, I think. And finally, as I told you before, I wanted to explain you a little bit the content of the book, because the book is titled Creation and Management of Social Enterprises. So we tried to include different chapters regarding all the areas of management, of the creation, but also the management of these social enterprises. The first topics, the first one talks about the fundamental concepts of social enterprises. So what's a social enterprise, which is the ecosystem of social enterprises, and whatever. Then the second, it talks about the business models. So it gives information about which type of business models and the differences between a business model in a social enterprise and let's say a regular company or not a social enterprise company. Then you will find another part related to another section, another chapter related to social impact, which is and theory of change, which is also quite important because as you probably know, one of the main goals of a social enterprise is to generate impact, social impact. So here it is explained. Nina is the author of this chapter. And then there is another chapter about the internal organization of social enterprises, about the management of diversity, which is also a common trend of these companies. Sometimes they have diverse types of employees, and it's also important to manage. And then there are the
I think that there are some problems with the connection of Ramon.
Yes, I call him Nina.
Okay, just a second.
social entrepreneurship subject, but also for social entrepreneurs and for lectures that want to have more information about the topic. So thank you very much. Nina, I give you the floor back.
Thank you very much. We had a little problem somewhere in the middle of your presentation, but I think apart from some chapters that you've explained, everything was cleared. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Then we will proceed with the presentation that is prepared by Neus Vilas about the first chapter. What is a social enterprise? The key concepts of social enterprise and the fundamentals of it. This is the chapter, the first chapter is dedicated to specifically this issue. Neus, all yours.
Okay, thank you, Nina. Let's see. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Neus Vila. I'm going to present the first chapter of the book that it was just introduced by Marta and Ramon. It's titled Creation and Management of Social Enterprises, Theory and Case Studies. And this first chapter talks about the fundamentals of the creation and management of social enterprises. So what we're going to be seeing is how do we define a social enterprise, how we can create a social enterprise, how we can manage it, how we can assess it, and an example of a social enterprise. So as you can see in this image, on the left-hand side, we have the conception of a traditional non-profit organization, and in the right-hand side, we have the conception of a traditional business that it's more for profit. And in the middle, we can see the idea of a social enterprise. In a very simplified manner, we can say that the social enterprise shares with a non-profit organization that one of the goals is to address social issues, and it shares also with a traditional for-profit organization the idea of being financially sound and sustainable. However, the concept of social enterprise is not there is not one worldwide accepted definition. We can see that in Spain, the idea of a social enterprise is different than, for instance, in France or Italy or in the UK. And is the presentation still going on? What happened? Okay, let's see. Let's go back. Okay, so there is not an international definition accepted worldwide of a social enterprise, and we can see that it varies by country, it varies by a school of thought. If you look more at the scholars and academicists, and you can see that there is a history background, a long history on the matter. So today, to simplify the initial ideas, I'm going to share how a social enterprise is understood by the European Union at the Spanish level, and then how it's being framed here in the book. Okay, so at the European level, a social enterprise is understood as an entity that the social objective is to enhance the common good of the society where it operates and the stakeholders that it relates with. And at the same time, it has most of the profits are being reinvested in the organization. And in terms of how they organize internally, it's one of the distinctions with respect to more private enterprises is that they focus more on democratic and participatory processes when making decision-making processes. In terms of which type of entities, legal entities, belong or are understood as social enterprise at the European level, there is no requirement. So the EU accepts that social enterprise can be legally constituted as a cooperative, as an association, as a foundation, and also as a private limited corporation. This is different from the Spanish conception of social enterprise. So at the European level, as long as your goal is social and it enhances the common good of the people, the community involved, as long as you reinvest the profits towards this goal, and as long as you organize in a democratic or participatory matter that considers social justice, this is sufficient. Now, at the Spanish level, we see that it's considered a social enterprise entities that promote the interest of individuals and society over the interest of the financial capital. It complements this goal, this principle, also with the idea of promoting internal solidarity and social solidarity. Examples of these could be the commitment to local development, equal opportunities between men and women, the promotion of social cohesion, the insertion of people at risk of social exclusion, the generation of a stable and quality employment, the reconciliation of personal, family, and work life, and sustainability. In a similar manner as at the European level, the way that social enterprises make decisions are normally organized more through democratic and participatory processes, but the Spanish conception also includes that this process should be autonomous and transparent, and the idea of that the people that are engaged in the organization in a daily basis should have more decision power than those who just than those who bring the financial investment, but they are not regularly involved in the daily life of the business. They also pinpoint the idea of being independent from public authorities, and differently than at the European level, in Spain they have a criteria in terms of the legal aspect, the legal form that the entity can can choose. So in Spain, if you open your business as a private limited corporation, even though that you may fulfill social goals, that the way of making decisions is more democratic and more participatory, even though that you may reinvest some of the profit back to the organization or most of it, if you are registered as a private corporation, you cannot be considered a social enterprise. Some of the legal forms that you can choose between are cooperatives, mutual funds, foundations, associations, all the ones listed here. For the purpose of the book, we conceived the idea of a social enterprise following all this background and some other sources that you could see in the book, as an entity that addresses the need, the problem, or the opportunity, or a social opportunity, an entity that is financially sustainable, that organizes itself in a collective and participatory approach, and that invests most of the profits back to the project. Now, it doesn't look as it should look. Okay, well, that's not the idea, but I can draw it a little bit. So here we will have the sphere of a capitalistic economy. Oh, what's happening? Of a capitalistic economy. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so we have the capitalistic system, economic system, the social economic system, and the third sector, economic or type of entities. So the social enterprise will lie more on the sphere of social economy, meaning that these entities can be for profit or not for profit, but that they address a social cause. In the book, you'll see the nicer figure there. Sorry about that. Okay, in terms of how we can create a social enterprise, you can go through a private or public agency, or here in Catalonia, we also have what we call cooperative Ateneus, or Ateneus cooperatius. And this slide doesn't, this is a problem with how this slide looks also, but anyway, the point is that you've seen that the type of legal form that the social enterprise can take could be a cooperative, association, foundation. So the requirements for the creation of this type of entity varies depending on the legal form that you choose. So the type of documents are going to vary, that the different level of initial capital is also going to be different, and the minimum number of members is also going to vary. So you have to have this into account. And you also have to have into account that when in terms of the internal organization, the management of the social enterprise, there are 5 main dimensions that distinguish them from the more private or the more non-for-profit in a general way, in a broader way. One is the decision-making process, that we said that it has to be more democratic or more participatory and promote social justice. The aspects of gender, they are more, you pay more attention in terms of gender equality, and it varies by entity. If it's more at all the ranks, all the positions of the corporation or entity, or if it's just at the lower rank or higher rank, but the gender equality is an aspect that it's more consciously considered. Also the aspect of care and wellness, so how the way of communicating, the way of addressing possible issues inside of the company, the way of maybe promoting the development of emotional intelligence of employees, it's also more consciously considered. Then the aspect of the gap between the top executives' salaries and the lower rank salaries. So the gap between the higher and lower positions, there is a maximum that is being accepted, and it varies by organization, but this is also considered that you don't want to have a big gap between the top executive and the lower rank employee. And also there is more conscious consideration on the social and environmental impacts of your economic activity. Now, in Catalonia, we have two main tools to assess the performance and the situation of a social enterprise. One is called social balance. And here you can see that it's a tool for the accountability and measurement of social, environmental, and good governance impact. And these companies that participate in the social balance, then if they achieve the minimum standards of all the dimensions that are being assessed, then they get a certificate of being a social enterprise. And then if, let's say, the city hall or the regional government wants to hire certain services, sometimes they have a clause of saying, okay, 10% or 50% of these services have to be provided by a so-called social enterprise. And then if you have this distinction, if you have this recognition, you can apply for this public funding and maybe offer these services. Then it also helps to bring awareness to the company itself to see how are they doing internally in all these dimensions and be able to improve the weaknesses that may be realized. On the other hand, it also brings more awareness of the impacts, social and environmental, that the organization is having, and be able to communicate these impacts more clearly to the audience, to whoever they want to communicate with. And lastly, they are able to connect with other entities that have similar visions or principles and start developing the so-called social market. These are the main dimensions assessed in the social balance: the economic achievement and profit policy, democracy, internal democracy, gender perspective, equity, quality of work, environmental commitment, and social commitment. If you participate, you can choose between two types of social balance. The short one, the more succinct, that is just 23 questions and gives you 54 indicators, or the longest one, that is 91 questions, and then you get 101 indicators. This is a sample. This image is a sample of an actual social balance. And the other tool that we have, it's called PAM-A-PAM. And this is an interactive map. So you can visually see in Catalonia where the social enterprises are located, in which kind of industries, which is their goal, and how they are doing. So it enables you to visibly see the distribution of them and to connect with possible other suppliers or clients that may be interested. And they assess also the internal dimension, the environmental impact, and the social impact. And here you can see the specific items in each of them. And lastly, I want to share an example of a social enterprise. This is called Betty and Boss Coffee. And their motto is, it's more than just a cup of coffee. And they want to change the way that people respect, see, value, accept, include, and love other people. And you can see who they are here in these images. And the idea is that they are defenders of the value, inclusion, and acceptance of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So they hire these people to work in their establishments. As of today, they are hiring 80 people with disabilities across the 3 store centers that they have in the East Coast of the US. So that's all from my side. If you have any questions or comments, I'm welcome to answer them or to click.
Thank you very much, Neus. Students can also always share their questions or inquiries or doubts in the chat. Okay, and by the end of this session, we will have a Q&A, like 15 minutes Q&A, okay? We will proceed with the following presentation. Thank you very much, Neus. And now I would ask Blai to present his chapter, Okay, it highlights some real cases of social enterprises, and actually we will have 2 guest speakers that participated in the creation of his chapter. Blai is a consultant from Tandem Social, and he will be participating in the subject of social entrepreneurship as well. Blai, all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nina. I don't know if Neus could please quit the presentation. If it's okay for you, thanks. Yeah, I don't have a presentation, but I'll try to be brief and stick to the time. So thank you very much. And as Nina said, my name is Blai. I'm a member of Tandem Social, that we are a cooperative that offers strategic consultancy services to the social sector. And this is social economy, social businesses or enterprise, third sector, and so on. And I'm also here in behalf of Social Business City Barcelona, which is an alliance between public administration, social businesses, and universities that aims to create an ecosystem that enhances social businesses in Barcelona. And this Social Business City Barcelona also belongs to an international network, which was created by Professor Muhammad Yunus, which was Nobel Peace Prize in 2006, and also one of the person who coined this concept of social business or social enterprise. So we are collaborating with UIC and also with other universities, because as Nina said, and also Marta at the beginning, we are practitioners, you know. So in our daily life, we are in touch with social businesses and we work with them in our daily life. And for us, it's really amazing to have the opportunity to strengthen this link between practice and theory, or universities and the social sector, that knowledge brokering that we think is crucial for society and also in the social sector or ecosystem. So thank you for the opportunity to be a teacher in this subject, and also to write a chapter in this book. So before talking about the chapter, two previous things. The first one is that in this chapter, and I think in all the book, we try to put theory into practice, but also to bring practice into theory. And I think it's important, like we tried to place value not only on academic knowledge about social businesses, but also on the knowledge acquired by social businesses that sometimes we forget when doing academic work. And the second thing is that as I previously said, we are a cooperative, so my name appeared in the book, and you are now seeing my face, right? But all the writing of the chapter and the knowledge is not mine. It belongs to all the cooperative, all the 25 members of the team, which I'm also really proud of. So we're entering in this second chapter that we wrote, which is titled Business Models and Social Business and Business Opportunities. These two concepts, social needs and business opportunities, that we think that are inherent to social businesses, right? But at the same time, we find that they collide when putting them into practice. Like sometimes decisions that increase our impact tend to reduce our economic sustainability, and the other way around, right? Like sometimes decisions that increase our economic sustainability makes decrease our impact, and maybe later on the two social business that were invited, Speculados and Moltacta, can talk also, speak also about this collision. And this is why we thought it was important to talk about social needs, business opportunities, and how they match to create a social business model. We define in the chapter also social businesses as a business that arises from the identification of a social need, and that uses the development of an economic activity, and I mean selling products and services, not as a destination, but as a tool for maximizing the social impact that contributes to solve the identified need, right? Just like Neus previously said. So according to this definition and this structure, in the chapter we talk first about social needs, then about business opportunities, and finally about business models. In the first part, which is how to identify, analyze, and validate a social need, we have to say, and you will read it in the book, that we don't have a clear definition about social needs. But in the chapter, we suggest a definition and a possible classification of social needs according to the concept of poverty, the concept of quality of life in an individual and also a collective way, and also according to the Sustainable Development Goals, which are a common agreement and we think are useful to classify the social needs. In the second part of the chapter, we talk about business opportunities. So we talk about the windows of opportunity, empathy maps with our customers, and also how to analyze business opportunities according not only to their economic potential, but also to their social potential. That is their potential to solve the social need that we want to solve. And that's why we say that creating a social business, like creating a regular business, is difficult, but creating a social business is twice as difficult than creating a regular business, because you don't only have to meet the economic sustainability or the economic potential, but also the social potential and the environmental potential. So we think it's twice as difficult to create a social business than a regular business, but also it makes you much happier because you think you can see that you are contributing to make a better world. In the third part of the chapter, we talk about business models. So we present an adjusted version of business model canvas, and we illustrate some ways and examples to generate positive impact in all dimensions of the model. And then at the end of the chapter, apart from the self-assessment questions, we try to illustrate some brief cases about businesses, like not theoretical cases, but real examples of social business in Catalonia, such as Entrem, L'Olivera, Espigoladors, Moltacta, and Neuronatura, which we really like, and I think they reflect the diversity that we have in this ecosystem, and they reflect this wide range of economic sectors and types of social impact that the social businesses or social enterprises can create. And to conclude, I studied business administration 8 years ago, and at that time, or at least in my university, I didn't have the chance to study social businesses. So I only what I studied was only regular businesses and profit as an objective itself. So for me, it's really nice to be here, and I wish I had the opportunity to know all different businesses that we can create and work at, like you're doing in this subject. And this is why I'm so happy to be here today and to take part in this course. And finally, I think in the present context where all social needs are increasing and also new social needs are emerging, social businesses are more important than ever, right? Like we need businesses that put people above capital, and that we need businesses that not only create economic wealth, but also social, environmental, and cultural wealth. And I hope in a really short time, when we think, not only us or the people in the course, but all society, when we think about what is the purpose of a business, we can answer that the purpose of businesses are solving social needs, creating a positive social impact, and to transform society, which is what social businesses do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Blai, for your presentation. I hope that our students will benefit from your professional experience and your knowledge of this sector, like a first-hand practical knowledge. In any case, please, if you have some doubts, if you have some questions, please leave them in the comments below, and we will discuss them probably by the end of the session in the Q&A, or if Blai wants to to comment on this last question right now?
Yeah, you mean, Nina, the time it took to write the book?
Daria is asking how much time it took to write the book.
Yes, we propose 1 year more or less, but we have a deadline because one thing to write to define the topics, the chapters. After that, it's the decision who writes each chapter. For example, Blai writing this chapter, and we have a deadline maybe of 6 months. Okay, because also to find the case studies, etc. But then there is also took a lot of time to editing and formatting the book. So in the whole, maybe 1 year.
Okay.
I don't know if I think that someone wants to. Perfect.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Daria. Thank you, Daria, for your question. Thank you very much, Marta. Okay, we will proceed with the next presentation. That is from Yanis Biarakis, the professor of entrepreneurship here in the week. He's actually a director of Masters in Entrepreneurial Finance. And he does a lot of research in entrepreneurial finance and green finance. And one of the book chapters is written by him and co-authored by Dolors Gil y Jasmina Berbegal. Yanis, all yours.
Thank you, Nina. Can you actually see me? Because I got a message that my okay, the connection is poor. Yes. Fine. Right, so I'm going to share or try to share a presentation with you. Right. So can you see my screen? Capital 8. Nina?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So in this chapter, as Nina already said, so we wrote this chapter together with Dolores Gil Domenech, Jasmina Berbegat Mirabent, and myself. So the whole idea in this chapter was to investigate how do we actually finance these social enterprises or enterprises that have a social aspect, let's say. So there is a new trend, let's say, in investment industry, which is called impact investment. So basically, what does this mean? Like we have venture capital funds or crowdfunding platforms or other financial instruments that they are now specialized on financing this kind of companies, because remember, setting up a business is one thing, but how to finance this business is a different story. And especially for this type of companies, it's even perhaps more difficult to go and get a loan in the bank, especially if they don't have collaterals. Okay, so what we have seen is that there is an increasing trend in social finance, and we have some new instruments like microcredits, impact investment funds, and crowdfunding platforms that specialize in this type of financing. So what we see happening is that the new, let's say, social investment ecosystem is emerging, where we have this kind of companies that operate in social, let's say, impact area. We have the funds that help them. We'll have consultants that also help them. We have the government and other public bodies that they are also involved. So we see kind of a new emerging, let's say, social investment ecosystem. And in this chapter, we also investigate what drives this kind of investments. I mean, why somebody will invest in companies like that? Is it intrinsic motivation, or they're just interested in making money? And do they actually make any money if they invest in these companies? The problem in this particular industry is that it's very difficult to to put a value in the company that you are going to invest in. Okay, and this we spend a lot of time, analyzing this concept. Normally in early stage companies, investors have difficulties in putting a value. So if I want to invest, what is the value of this company? And that way I will be able to understand what proportion of this company I will acquire. Now, we have some techniques in normal, let's say, corporate finance, but for impact investments, this is a new industry. So we are still experimenting with what is the best tool that we can use in order to put a value in this company. So what is the value of this company? Like 500,000 euros, 1 million euros, what is it? So this is one challenge. And the other challenge is, how do we actually calculate the financial return that we make? Remember, investors always need to make a financial return. In this case, it's very modest, but definitely they don't want to lose money. So how do we calculate this? What should be the balance between financial return and social return? Again, this is a new concept. The debate in this is still inconclusive. Lots of people are working on this, practitioners and scholars, to come up with a solution. And of course, we have the institutional investors. So these are the, let's say, the big guys, the philanthropists, the government bodies, some pension funds that also want to invest in this kind of companies. And again, the motive varies. Sometimes if it's pure philanthropy, it's just they want to, obviously, to help the society. Some others, they have a combination of motives. They want to help the society, but also make some money. So it's a mixture of motives. So this is pretty much what we capture, what we cover in this particular chapter. So what I wanted to show you here is it's some trends of venture capital investments in Spain, and what we see that's from Thomson Reuters database. So what we see is that in terms of amount invested, we see a clear increase. Okay, so more money year on year invested in Spain in venture capital through venture capital funds. Although the number of deals is going down, which indicates the investments becoming larger, and this is perhaps a good sign because it shows the maturity. Well, the industry in Spain is getting more mature. Now, in this graph, we also, this trend is also reflected in the impact investments. So, although it's very difficult, like Neus and Blay already discussed, that it's quite difficult to define what is an impact, what is a social enterprise, what is an impact investment, etc., etc. But whatever definition you use, we see that there is an increasing trend of funds investing in this kind of companies. And talking a little bit about the theory, because remember, this is a textbook. The main focus, let's say, theoretical focus, the institutional logic theory. So what does this mean? It means that each institute, organization, or any body really has some logic when they make investments, when they make decisions. So, for example, investment banks, they want to make money. Hedge funds, they want to make just money. And depending on what is the institutional logic of this body, it will decide whether to invest in these companies or not. So, for example, as already mentioned, philanthropists invest in this area, the World Bank invests in this area, the European Union, and of course governments from all over the world. So this industry really borrows, the impact investment industry really borrows, let's say, the characteristics, many characteristics and way of working of the traditional venture capital industry, but it adds the touch of the social and positive social and environmental impact. Okay, and And of course, they still want to make money. Okay, but as a comparison, let's say traditional venture capital fund targets anything over 30% internal rate of return per year. The impact investment funds, perhaps they will target about 6 to 7%. So they still want to make money, but not this crazy kind of amounts of money that the traditional venture capital funds make. This is an example of how the impact investment fund works. So we have the investment fund in the middle, which is managed by what we call general partners. And then these guys receive money from what we call limited partners. These are philanthropists, governments, international organizations, etc., etc. And then the general partners try to identify companies to invest in. And these companies obviously should have a social focus. Okay, and once they identify these companies, they invest in these companies and they help them obviously to progress. Now, let's say the beauty of this industry is not that it's only it offers money, financial support, but offers much more than financial support, but offers guidance, assistance, etc., etc. And of course, the ultimate aim in this industry is for the company to be sold later on and generate enough money that will be returned to the LPs. Remember, the LPs do invest in this industry, but they don't really want to lose money. The idea is that they make a modest, very modest return in order for them to keep going and keep investing in more and more companies. Now, again, Blay earlier mentioned about how difficult it is to create a regular business. It's very difficult. And in this industry, it's very difficult to value a regular business, especially when it is an impact business. For a regular business, we have some financial data that we use, or we have number of sales, or we look at the balance sheet, etc., etc., and we make some educated guesses what will be this value. In the case of impact investments, the industry has developed a new technique which is called social return on investment. Basically, this tool is designed to capture and report not only the financial return, but also the social and environmental value that this company creates. So it is a little bit what Neus was explaining earlier, but it adds the financial profit as well in this equation. So how does it work? You actually try to identify proxies for positive social change. Okay, and this is the key. So, as an example, let's assume that there is a company, there is an online application, health diagnostic. Okay, it really helps people with health, and maybe used for minor health issues instead of visiting the local GPs, your local doctor, let's say. Now, so each visit to your local doctor may cost to the public sector 20 euros. Okay, so if 10,000 of these local visits are spared because these people use the app instead of going to the doctor each year, that means that the government will save 200,000 on a yearly basis. And this is a proxy that we can use in terms of let's say the return, the profit, in inverted commas, that this company will make. So that's how we come up with the valuation of the company, by using proxies for the financial return that this company will create. Okay, I know I'm over 10 minutes, but I will take 2 more minutes just to highlight another tool that you may be also interested in, is the crowdfunding platforms. I'm sure you have all heard about Kickstarter and others, but there are many platforms that specialize now in raising money from the crowd to support companies with a social impact. Okay, this is crowdfunding trends in the whole Europe, and you see Spain is doing well. And this is even more evident when you look at on year basis, the increase. So we see a huge increase in the amounts of money invested through crowdfunding platforms in Spain. Okay, and some of this money indeed goes to these companies, not all of it, but it's something that it works well with impact investment. So what happens is, if you have an idea and you upload your idea with a video in these platforms, and then people like your idea and they just support you with a small amount of money, let's say 10, 20 euros, but collectively, because there are hundreds of people that may like your idea, you collectively raise enough money to set up your business and move on. So that's it in terms of presentation. As I said, this is a new, let's say, emerging industry. So we still know very little about how to accurately value company, how much money really these funds make. And this is an ongoing debate. But what we see is that there is definitely an increasing trend, and more people are interested in setting up their own impact investment, impact companies, social enterprises, and more people want to invest and help these companies, either through crowdfunding platforms or through individual investments or through venture capital funds. So that's from my side, Nina. As everybody else, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much, Yanis. Very interesting presentation, very detailed, and I think very practical as well. We will definitely come back to during the course. Right now we're gonna make a 5-minute break because we're going with a little bit of delay already. So we will come back at 3:08, okay? Exactly 5 minutes to just have a walk a little bit after sitting for an hour almost. And then we will proceed with the presentation by two companies, Especuladors and Moltacta. Okay, and they will present their companies, they will share their experience, but then you will have some time to launch your questions and inquiries of connected to their experience of being a social enterprise and making this world a little better place. Okay, we will see you in 5 minutes.
Hola, Raquel.
Hola, Blay. Soy Ana.
Hola, hola Ana, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo
Bien,
estás?
muy bien, muy bien.
Sí, no, ¿escuchas y ves bien?
¿Os escucho? ¿No os veo todavía? A ver. Ahora,
Ahora.
ahora os veo. Sí. Raquel,
Mira, hola
hola,
Raquel.
Raquel.
Hola, Ana, encantada.
Igualmente.
¿Tú
Para...
querías probar, Ana, a ver lo del Prezi, a ver si funciona?
Sí, sí, ¿cómo se hace compartir aquí?
Esto
Vale,
Nina es la experta.
Sí. Ahora que ya que estamos todos conectados, mira, no sé si ves una flecha abajo
Sí,
a
sí,
la derecha, pues tienes
sí.
que apretar la flecha y te saldrá pues un chat, participantes y después como un compartir contenido. Tiene que ser un compartir contenido.
Compartir contenido, sí.
Sí, vale, allí, entrando
Ujú.
allí, tú puedes compartir o la pantalla o incluso compartir archivo y colgar el archivo. ¿Qué pasa? Que si es un PowerPoint y no PDF, muy a menudo se nos va todo, ¿vale?
Vale.
Por lo
No,
cual,
es un... Sí.
Sí, dime.
Es un Prezi que lo puedo abrir, entonces preferiría compartir la pantalla.
Sí, mejor compartir pantalla.
Ujú.
¿Cómo? A ver ¿cómo? O sea, si comparto la ventana, mejor, no,
Si
mejor,
compartes la pantalla, mejor. Porque
mejor
así
que
no te va...
ventana.
No,
Sí,
vale.
pantalla completa pone.
Pantalla, sí.
Pantalla
Es
completa.
mejor pantalla.
Vale.
Sí. Porque si no, tú
Vale.
no podrás después, no lo veremos como...
Sí, ¿tenéis algún vídeo? ¿Tenéis algún vídeo añadir?
No.
Porque si no, es compartir el audio también. Si hay un vídeo integrado hay que compartir el audio, pero si no, simplemente con compartir pantalla completa es suficiente.
Uy, madre mía.
¿Este he sido yo?
Estamos compartiendo y ahora tienes ya que ir a la presentación. Efectivamente.
¿Y así lo veis
Pues,
ahora?
Sí, lo estamos viendo,
Perfecto.
Sí, ok, perfecto, pues ya está. Vale. Ok, pues lo cierro a ver si... Ok.
Sí, o déjatelo preparado, como si quieres.
A ver,
¿Lo
¿puedo
dejo
probar
así?
yo ahora?
Sí. ¿Cómo salgo del compartir?
Igual.
Aquí hay este botoncito cuadrado, ¿ves? Arriba, un botoncito
Arriba.
cuadrado.
A
Sí,
ver...
no sé cómo, ¿no? Nosotros vemos dos presentaciones a la vez, yo creo.
Ah, sí, es que pues me he ido muy a saco, ¿no? Espero, dejo de compartir. Te sale como una ventana flotante debajo de la presentación.
espérate, porque no me sale. Un segundito.
O sea, sí, ya está, ¿no? ¿Ya has dejado de compartir o no?
Sí, ya está,
Lo-
ya nadie
Ah.
está compartiendo nada.
Ah, ¿no? Ok,
Pues,
vale. Como no lo
pruebo
veo,
yo a
pues...
ver.
Y tú cuando compartías, Raquel, se veía bien, ¿eh? También.
Ahora voy aquí, ¿no? En el Power. ¿Y se ve el Power?
Súper bien.
Sí, perfecta.
Vale.
Este cuadro.
Ujú.
Este cuadro
Muy bien.
está en la panadería de mi marido. Es una coincidencia. Digo, la dos.
Ujú. Muy bien. ¿Qué tal?
¿Cuántos hay? ¿Cuántos estudiantes hay?
Hay 37 participantes, pues unos 26 participantes de estudiantes en principio. En total son 28 matriculados.
Ujú.
Vale.
Muy
Pero
bien.
vale, esto es una colaboración larga con vosotras dos y vuestras empresas, así
Ujú.
que tenemos mucha ilusión, la verdad.
Ujú.
Ya haremos una reunión.
Sí, miles de gracias por participar en la sesión.
A vosotras.
Es de mucho interés para los alumnos.
Sí.
A ver si soy capaz
Ok.
de explicarlo en 15 minutos y que hace días que ya no sé, que no hago una presentación en inglés con esto del COVID y todo.
Vale, seguro que bien. Okay,
Muy
we
bien.
will come back to the class because 5 minutes have already passed. I give word to our guest speakers. Okay, these are two companies that Especuladors y Moltacta. These are two companies that participate in one of the chapters of the book, and these are the companies that will accompany us in the COIL project. I'm very excited about it, and we will these companies will be accompanying us throughout the course, and it will be a very nice and very exciting journey for all of us. I first want to present Raquel Diaz, a project manager at the Especuladors Foundation. She will explain the experience. Okay, I will ask to switch on the microphones so that not to make it too noisy. Raquel Diaz will present her experience in Especuladors and Especuladors experience, how they started it, what was the motivation, and how they're doing right now. Especially, Raquel, if you want to share, if you will, at the end of the presentation, if you have time to share some, how you're living this coronavirus crisis a little bit, at least. Okay, well, you can share your presentation and start.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation and letting us to explain our project. So I will use a PowerPoint to try to support my explanations, but I'm open to all the. I cannot share it, Nina. I don't know why. After all the tests we did, no, it's not possible for me to share my screen now.
Vale, Raquel, can you ¿puedes renovar la pantalla? Como salir y entrar o renovar la pantalla, porque esto me pasó esta mañana también. Y al renovarlo, como refresh, ya era. O sea, tú saldrás ahora y
Vale,
entrarás.
ya está.
Now we can see it, Raquel. Ahora sí que podemos ver.
Yes.
Sí.
Okay. So I'm Raquel, as Nina said. I'm the head of the area of projects, and so I will try to explain a little bit what we do and what is our objective of existing. So we have two main issues, like 1/3 of the food produced globally is wasted or lost along the food supply chain, while more than 20% of the population, in this case in Catalonia and Spain, are at risk of social exclusion. This means, or risk of poverty. This means that they don't have all the necessities covered, having no difficulties in access to healthy and a nutritious diet. This is some facts of food waste. Sorry, because they are in Catalan, but just if you look at the number, it's 1/3 of the food produced globally is wasted. This is more than 1,300 million of tons, which represents more than 3,300 millions of tons of CO2 emitted to the atmosphere. And this also equates to lots of water, equivalent to the Volga river in Russia, or also hundreds of hectares of land that are being used for nothing. So we are a non-for-profit foundation. Nowadays we started as an association, and nowadays we are a foundation, non-for-profit. Since 2014, we started our activity, and we have three main objectives: fighting against food loss and food waste, guarantee the proper access to food and the quality of a diet, and also creating job opportunities to people at risk. What is the reason of Especuladors, and what is the name Especuladors? Especuladors in English is gleaning. I don't know if all of you are familiar with this picture and of the concept. So gleaning is very ancient activity. So what in the past, it was very common to have people gathering the rest of the harvesting, and there was people, poor people of the town, and the farmers allow them to enter after the primary harvest to collect the surplus on the field. We saw in 2018, and after the crisis, that gleaning was also being more and more common in the cities, no? People gleaning dumpsters in the city or trying to obtain food from the trash. So we tried in 2014, trying to become modernized and also dignify the figure of cleaning, and also try to set up this, try to start again this activity in the fields. We also have very clear that we need to push the policies and all the regulations, and in 2020 we in the Catalan Parliament it was approved a law, food loss and waste prevention, and we were able to include in the law the meaning of cleaning, and it also will be regulated this year. So we are very proud of the effort, no, from these 5 years trying to put in the policy agenda the cleaning activity. Also, some concepts of what does it mean, the right to food, when we say that we want to guarantee the right to food. It's not only making available a quantity of food, it is also trying to make it equivalent or cultural accessible. People has the constant access to a qualitative and quantitative amount of food that is also respecting their traditions. Our model. So what we do? We basically glean products from the primary sector in accordance in convening with farmers, with group of volunteers, and we glean and we collect recovered food from pack house and warehouses at the beginning of the food supply chain. The majority of the products, fruits and vegetables, we focus on fruits and vegetables. We deliver them to food pantries, food banks, to guarantee a proper healthy diet to people at risk. And with a part of the food that we recover, we transform it into a central kitchen we have into canned products that I will show you. We also have the research and action area where we try to develop knowledge and disseminate this knowledge among citizens and especially to young people. We are aligned to different sustainable development goals, specifically to no poverty, no waste, climate action, and decent work and economic growth, among others. So I will try to explain more details of all these 3 areas I mentioned. So the gleaning. So we have agreements with producers, and we organize groups of volunteers to go to the fields and glean the harvested that they cannot sell in the commercial market in fresh because different reasons. Because a sudden drop of the prices, oversupply, different aesthetic standards of the current food system dynamics, etc. So we go there, we collect all these artichokes in this case that were going to be left there, and we delivered to food pantries. Why we clean? Because it reduces food loss and food waste and their embedded environmental impact. We also think that we are bringing citizens closer to the countryside, so we are raising the awareness of the value of food and the value of the primary sector activity. We also trying to dignify the primary sector work. Also, we are trying to facilitate the access to a healthy diet to people at risk because these people in the food pantries, they are receiving mostly packed food as it's common sense because they have to deliver lots of food during the COVID situation. They increase the people who are attending in 30–40%, but they are mostly lacking of fresh fruits and vegetables. And also we think that moving people to do this volunteer, they are creating citizens, aware citizens and concerned with the situation of food losses and access to food. Some numbers. We have nowadays more than 1,600 volunteers. We are collaborating with more than 100 producers and food companies, and we are delivering and collaborating with more than 50 food pantries and social entities. We are based in Catalonia, in Baix Llobregat, and we are mainly working in this area that bears up agrarian part, but also expanding during this last year to the south and to the north of Catalonia. We are also collaborating with other regions of Spain that want to start this model. These are some pictures of our volunteers gleaning before and after the COVID. As you can see, we didn't stop gleaning since the COVID pandemic. We even went more gleaning, and our volunteers in 2019 or at the beginning of 2020 were a group of 600 or 700, and now we doubled these numbers. Some indicators from our beginning: we clean more than 1 million kilos of fruits and vegetables and prevent them to be wasted. And this is translated to different indicators in terms of CO2 prevented, liters of water, and portions of food delivered to these families. So just to a significant number in water, in terms of water, it means more than 9 million showers, which is like in shower it seems to be more clear than liters of water. Our central kitchen, our workshop, well, that I explained, is the place where we develop and do our produces and where we create job opportunities to people at risk. We created this brand, Es Imperfect, which is made from surplus, recovered surpluses from fruit and vegetables that have any specific form, shape, or aesthetic mistake for the current market. So we believe that we are a laboratory of innovation to prevent food waste, because we develop different products like jams, creams, vegetables, pâtés, 100% naturals and artisanals. So this is some pictures of our marmalades and vegetables pâté, and also other products that were like more focused to the catering sector, and some vegetable creams also. So here we create job opportunities to people at risk, mostly from the neighborhood where we are located in El Prat de Llobregat, which is a neighborhood with a high rate of people at risk. So we employ these people during a year where they are giving a new opportunity to learn some office, also to have an opportunity, young people, also people, women more than 50, 45, or people who are migrants that have enough regulation of their documentation. So from our beginning also, we transformed more than 72,000 kilos of fruit and vegetables into marmalades and soups, and also created more than 48 job opportunities. This is some of the pictures of our central kitchen. And also finally, the third area is the research and action, where we create knowledge and we share knowledge with different citizens, mainly young people and teenagers. And we create and we develop different activities, awareness activities, as workshops, sensibilization campaigns. Also, we are working with different city councils to develop new sustainable food systems, work on circular economy projects, etc. This is some of the picture of the more awareness campaigns with kids and teenagers. And thank you very much. I have some numbers also on the Es Imperfect, or if you have any question, I will be very grateful to answer you at the end.
Okay, Daria, thank you for your question. Well, that would be interesting if the students by the end of the class will participate and ask some questions. Now we will proceed with the next presentation. The presentation by Anna. She is presenting. She's a communications and marketing director at Moltacta, and she will share her experience and the Multacta's experience with us. But again, I welcome all the students to share their questions and their probably experiences, and some inquiries that you might have in the chat, and we will come back to them by the end of the class. Okay, Anna, you can start sharing the presentation. Thank you very much for participating here.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation to share with you our project. Let me just share our presentation. Okay, so Multacta, we say that is an innovative business model just because we put our passion in the center, which is people. We are not looking for the economic, just for the economic results, but we always put people in the center whenever we make any kind of decision. And what we try to solve is a problem is that people with a mental disorder in our society have a great stigma. So there are a huge rate of unemployment, and they have really difficulties to convert the situation into a health generation opportunity. And what we try to do is give a solution to this huge problem, and it is giving a respectable and a stable job opportunities, trying to generate really healing workspace that allows them to come into contact with their society and reducing their stigma. Understanding that these kind of people might have like a schizophrenia, a bipolar trastorn, or whatever, so they have very lots of problems to find a real job, no? So the roots, as I mentioned, is that Multacta has as a mission a healthy and sustainable company that promotes opportunities for inclusion and in which people are at the center and engine of its development. And our roots, our real hope is the values that we share with all our employees, which are unity, consciousness. We also promote the self-responsibility of each of ourselves. We want everybody to become a leader of their own job, not depending always on what they tell you what to do. We also have the adaptability as a very important value, because we have to be really open-minded to get into a different kind of jobs or functions many times. Equanimity, trust, we think that this is a very important value. If we do not trust not just the team we are working with, but if we do not trust life as a whole, it's going to be hard to go forward on the project, and even more now in the right moment, the actual moment. And also we take the enthusiasm as a value. And why we say this is just because when we hire someone, what we ask is if they are really enthusiastic about the job they are going to develop, because there's only through the enthusiasm that you cannot give anyone. You have to bring it with you. Things are going to work in every moment, but even more in difficult moments as the ones that we are living right now with this pandemic. No? So we are 3 entrepreneurs, which is something quite for ourselves is something important, because it is not just a boss that is being on charge of the whole enterprise, but we are 3 of us. This is Miquel, I present you, this is Jaume, and this is me. I'm in charge of all the commercial and marketing and communications side, but we consider that we are not directors. We are 3 partners as a promotion team. We don't feel ourselves as bosses, but we are leaders, and we have to be a conscious leader, not just a leader as such, which means that we have to work in our deep self to get to know us in a deep self, so we can act from that point instead of acting always from the mental point. No, There is a balance, which means that the role of women is taken into account. How the decisions are made, we always try to leave our ego aside. Every time we need to take a decision, we always make this huge effort to leave our ego aside and try to make decisions from this other side, more profound. We search opportunities that combine both business with social integration, because we want to show the rest of the world that it is possible to have another business model that has a social integration objective as such, and that is sustainable on its own. No? We are quite reluctant to the frustration. We came through a huge crisis in 2008, and we are really now struggling in a new crisis situation. So we are dealing with it, and we try to keep our model when things go in a right way, or even now that things are in a very difficult way. We have a commitment when we create this enterprise 12 years ago, and the commitment is the same that it was at the beginning. So we are quite reluctant to the frustration that the crisis might come through now. No? And we have an evolutionary purpose, which means that instead of trying to predict and control the future all the time, we are open to listen and to understand what the organization wants to become. And as well, now we have a real shift in our current situation just because of the pandemic, and we are quite open to see what we have to become from now on. As a business, I don't know if you had the chance to take a look to our website, moltacta.com. Let me just say, mention some numbers. We were 10 employees in 2008, and we were 70 employees before the pandemic in March. Right now, we are around 55 because we have to reduce drastically our employees. The turnover in 2008 was 500,000 euros, and we were around 5.2 million in 2020. And we like to also talk about how many units do we sell a year, and we came up from 15,000 units to 300,000 units, and we do it through these 5 stores. This is the Moltacta one, which is based in Manresa. Is a multi-brand store, an outlet multi-brand store. We also have an Stradivarius outlet in Manresa. We have a Massimo Dutti outlet in Llagostera, which is Girona province. We have a Massimo Dutti outlet in Igualada, and we have an Osho in Llagostera. So these are the 5 stores that we have at the moment. And yeah, we were before March 2020, we were trying to figure out how we should continue growing up or not, or just reinforcing what we already had. Now we are such in a different point, but we will see that afterwards with all your students. And our integration concept is that we feel that if we are trying to introduce another business model different than the conventional one, we have to put the seed inside, and we have to practice the values with all the members of our team day-to-day management, so that we will get the integration of the values throughout the team. What do I mean with this? For us, it's really important that the model is understood and it is put into practice from the top to down for all the members of the team. And what we feel is that we want to change the way that people with a mental disease is seen by the society. We have to be the first to be the change we want to see in the world, as Gandhi used to state, no? You should be the change you want to be in the world. So you are the face that has the first to integrate these values and put them into practice. So they will see that really people with a mental disease have a real space in our society. And then if we feel that you have to work and you have to do things from your inner self, you have to give them the opportunity to discover what is their inner self. To put an example, what we have done with all our teams is to put into practice an mindfulness course. So each person could discover, could go more deeply to their awareness or consciousness of who they really are, so they could act from this point instead of acting always from our mental point. So as you see, it is not just a business model to be sustainable economically, but also to be a space where every person of our team has the opportunity to grow up as a person. And that is it.
Anna, thank you very much for your presentation. You can stop sharing it. There is this
yes.
square,
okay.
round square. It's no, round square. In
the round square.
corner. Yes, in the corner.
Yeah. Okay. I see it. Yes.
Round square sounds very weird.
Round square. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much to both of our speakers. There was already one question asked by Daria. She's asked about the volunteers, who they are, can there be international volunteers? And it would be interesting, Daria, if you could switch on the mic, unmute the microphone and share your experience of working with the waste, with the food waste. Daria? We cannot hear you. Can you switch on the camera as well so that we could see you? No, we cannot hear you.
I can try to explain the volunteers part. So maybe he or he, sorry, I don't know the name, can solve the problem. So we have we have a group of volunteers of 1,600 people who are coming from different backgrounds, from the city, from the rural. So people who are retired and wants to do an activity, in the fields. Also young people who are studying, but also we encourage people who are receiving food from these food pantries and food banks to come to the fields to make an activity with other people, to empower them and to be part of their food that they were gonna receive. We have different people, also international people coming from all of the world who are living from a period of time in Barcelona. So I invite all of you who are in Barcelona to register in our website and come gleaning, because we are doing gleaning every week, like 4 to 5 gleanings every week.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, we will proceed with the other questions. Some students probably want to ask something. Okay, please leave your questions in the chat. Meanwhile, I have some questions to you. Well, I have a question to Anna. Companies like yours is a matter of a great interest to me, professionally, because and personally as well. But because I study companies that work integration, no, as companies that integrate people with mental disorder, with intellectual disabilities as well. And one of the issues that they were highlighting the importance is the collaboration with some foundation that would provide them with some help, because there are some foundations that prepare people with some disorder or some disability to be integrated into a company, and then the company becomes like a continuation of this model, no, that and they start working there and integrate, and probably they once everything is fine, they go and find work in some other companies, no, because they feel themselves capable. In your case, do you collaborate with some foundation? What is the life cycle of employees, let's say, no? How long do they stay? What is the model, no, in this sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I get the question. In fact, some foundations, they go through that kind of transition from this protected kind of job going to a real company, not protected. We do not see it that way. We don't feel that we have to force people to go to a real company at the end. They have to be free to do whatever they want. So we have ¿cómo se dicen? Indefinidos, contratos indefinidos. Long-term, yeah, we have long-term contracts with our employees, and they also have to feel free whenever they have their self-confidence or they feel like they are prepared to go into a real company. They always have the door open to make reality their own dreams, and some of them have already tried to, because after, for example, 4 or 5 years, finding out that they were more capable than whatever they thought, they decide that they want to try how it works in the real life. They have tried, and some they have succeeded, and some others they just came back saying, "Oof, it is not the same," because in our company, what we have is we have a psychologist, we have a social worker that they are all the time supporting whenever they are in their best moments or the worst moments, no? And you won't find that in a real company. So it is quite hard for most of them to go in there and feeling that they are going to treat them the way they deserved. So we just leave it open for all of them. You come in, after a year you have a long-term contract, and whenever you feel is your moment to leave or you want to try to go and some other place, feel free, completely free.
Thank you very much, Anna. And Raquel, one question to you as well. You said that you are launching this, or you have launched this imperfect brand, which the name of which I really love. I think that it's amazing from the marketing viewpoint. How is it doing? And what is it like? What is the idea? No, how did this idea appear? What was behind it, behind the creation of this brand?
Wow, such a challenging question, because maybe Mireia, who is the director, would perfectly answer. I will try my best. So I think so there was like two things. On one side, there's lots of food waste and food loss. So one way to trying to avoid this is transforming, because it will last more. Also, is trying to put this food loss, no ugly fruit, to people, current people. Like, it's not just for people who cannot access to food, but even it's more expensive because it's a traditional, it's natural, done in the central kitchen, and we sell these produces in high consumption supermarkets, also little local stores, and in restaurants, catering services. So we, from the beginning, we saw this slot of people, no? The consumption is going through more natural, more healthy, from local products, and we adapted the products also. Marmalades, they have a very low content of sugar and lots of content of fruits and vegetables also, and people like this, for example. So nowadays we have around 300 points of selling around Catalonia and also in Spain, and we are trying to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Well,
I do
Uh-huh.
hardly recommend to try these products. We are a good client, and we can tell that is such a good idea to transform the product into this. Yeah, I think it's a really good idea.
I totally agree. I
Mhm.
didn't know it,
Thank you.
honestly, Raquel. I didn't know it. It was some news for me that you're doing this, and I look forward to trying it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Well, does somebody want to add something or ask question? Okay, go forward, Tuan.
Can I turn the microphone on? Can you hear me?
It's working. We can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay.
We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
So I have one question. Like you said that what you were looking for in employees, that their enthusiasm, but since they have mental disorders, so I feel like at a certain point they feel they have the desperation because of the stigma from the society. So I feel like they are not able to maintain their enthusiasm. Like they are not very enthusiastic when they want to join the company. So I don't know if do you have like the determined factor to know like to know their enthusiasm when you want to like hire them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Is something, well, we are not forcing them to be enthusiastic. We are just saying it is something that it might come from their inside, because I think they need to as well ask to themselves how far they want to go with their life. Sometimes the mental disease might be the best way to escaping from some other problems, just hiding them always behind the mental disease. So what we try to do is put them in a place saying, okay, you come in, you are going to start doing these things, but we know that in 6 months you could be able to go for some other functions and more responsibilities. And it depends on them if they really want to do this effort, and it depends on their enthusiasm. And you can see it is not something we see in a couple of weeks. We need sometimes 6 months to find out if they are real giving their best for themselves, not for us. They have to do it for their own mental health, not because our expectations, but because what they really need to solve inside. Many times it's their own beliefs that frustrate them. So what we try to do is, as much as possible, reduce these negative beliefs they have on themselves and trying to put on their self-confidence. And it's a combination of both of them that also create enthusiasm. And we can tell that with many people of our team, at the beginning when they came in, they are quite scared because sometimes they haven't worked at all, or they are coming from a very difficult situation. And I remember one person that he has been for 4 years at home every single day, going from the bed to the sofa, from the sofa back to the bed, without getting out from the house. So getting into a job in front of the society was quite hard for him. But little by little, he found out that he was more able to do things at what he thought at the beginning. So he started in increasing his self-confidence, and in 6 months you could tell the huge change he has done, just because feeling part of something, belonging to something, being accepted by the rest, by the others as you are, and is little by little you increase this self-confidence. This person right now at this moment, he got married, he has 2 children. He is really nice because he's working for the one of the Massimo Dutti stores, and when he got married he went to New York with his wife, and he visited the Massimo Dutti store and in New York, and he came back to us saying they were dressing the same way as we were, and I feel that we are doing better than what they do. Imagine what self-confidence was for him and how enthusiastic he just went back. So it's not something we request at the beginning, because we do understand how they are coming in, what situation they are coming in. We cannot put so much pressure on them or expectations of them. We just have to give confidence to them to get the best version of each of them.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Tuan, for your question. I think that was a very interesting question. And Anna, thank you very much for your answer. This is something that I've heard from other enterprises. We studied La Casa de Carlota. And Sergi Capel, the director, he was saying that people with disabilities, they have, it's something similar. They have these prejudices against themselves. Now, not only that society has prejudices against people with disabilities, but these people themselves have these prejudices. So they themselves think that they are incapable of doing something, that they are not, they don't serve to do some things, no? And this is the stigma, not the societal stigma, but their own stigma against them, that they need what is it? No sé cómo se decirlo, no, to confront, no, to confront and say, no, I am able to do so, and I don't have to hide behind my disability, or in this case, mental disorder. And I think that this is the objective, the main objective of social enterprises, to normalize, no, to say that it is normal to have some disability, or it is normal to have some mental disorder. No, nobody is normal in the end of the day, and all of us have some issues, and all of us can contribute to the society. Okay, somebody else wants to ask something. Very interesting questions from students. Well, if there are no other comments, we are almost running out of time. I want to thank very much the two guest speakers, Anna and Raquel. It's a pleasure to have you here, and it's actually an honor to have you here, that you have agreed to participate. Thank you very much. We look forward to collaborating with you further. I think that it will be a very exciting course. I will tell you all the details. We will see when we all can meet. And I think that the students are also very excited. I guess they're very shy right now, but when we start working on the challenges that you will launch for us, I guess the communication will be much more warm and open from there. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you very much
everybody.
to you. I'm looking forward to this further collaboration with students and you.
Okay. Well, we're closing this this day, this conference of presenting the book. Again, you can access it online. It's absolutely free of charge. You don't have to pay for that. And it's a very useful manual. It's a very useful book if you study social enterprise, if you give classes of social enterprise, or if you're just curious of what social enterprise represents here, like the sector itself here in Catalonia, because there are lots of practical examples, companies, real companies that are making the world a better place. So again, read it. It's free charge in Catalan and Spanish up until now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank